Just wanted to show you guys some of the news from the blog here. So if we go to the home page, as you know, you can either go to our home page, scroll down here and see the blog right there, or you can log into your dashboard, and right on your dashboard page is an RSS feed of our blog. So either way, let's take a look at quickly this story. This is kind of the big story this week. We're going to be sending out a newsletter on this to all of our contacts because it's kind of big news for our industry. And it came out a couple weeks ago, but we've kind of taken our time to digest it because it's a scientific article. Had a lot of details in there. And we wanted to also not just be all doom and gloom, Google News manipulates your results, they're hurting local news, end of story. We want to be positive and have ideas for how to fight this. So we came up with a number of blog posts that basically provide suggestions on how we can improve our ranking in Google News. But what this article is saying is that there is this underlying bias, and it's that's just your default state. It doesn't mean that you're going to have poor Google News results. If you do the right things, like what we're talking about in this article, your ranking will be okay. But it's just just by default, if you're not taking any action, if you're not aware of this, you're gonna the national outlets are going to be prioritized over you. So let's just take a look. I'm going to actually play the audio article for this so we can just listen, because otherwise I would just want to read this anyway. It's very well said in this post. So here we go.
Does Google News manipulate search results to prioritize national outlets? Back in September, Nature.com published an article titled Auditing Local News Presence on Google News by Sean Fisher, Pikil Judka, and Iftak Lelbs. The article highlights the research performed by the trio, which ultimately supports their hypothesis that Google News favors content from large national outlets over smaller local outlets and prioritizes those sources within its search results. This is problematic for local and regional newspapers who are being negatively impacted by Google News's algorithm. You can read the abstract for the article below. Local news outlets have struggled to stay open in the more competitive market of digital media. Some have noted that this decline may be due to the ways in which digital platforms direct attention to some news outlets and not others. To test this theory, we collected 12.29 million responses to Google News searches within all U.S. counties for a set of keywords. We compared the number of local outlets reported in the results against the number of national outlets. We find that, unless consumers are searching specifically for topics of local interest, national outlets dominate search results. Features correlated with local supply and demand, such as the number of local outlets and demographics associated with local news consumption, are not related to the likelihood of finding a local news outlet. Our findings imply that platforms may be diverting web traffic and desperately needed advertising dollars away from local news.
Okay, that's kind of the take home right there. Their findings imply that these platforms, they talk about Google News here, but Facebook is an even bigger issue because as they talk about in the actual article, there's more traffic, there's more people looking for news on Facebook than on Google News, it seems. So they're getting their news more on Facebook. But anyway, all these platforms seem to be diverting web traffic away from local news outlets. So like if you're searching for a general topic, it'll send you to the New York Times rather than the local news, even if they both talk about it. So that's, it's kind of interesting because it's like, well, who's got the better authority on how to talk about this? Maybe I want to see the local perspective on this issue. Why are you showing me the New York Times? So that's just something to be aware of. But the ultimate question here is, what do we do about it? That's what I want to get to. So we've got 4 blog posts here that we've either written in the past or we wrote for this story that talk about different ways to fight this bias. So you've got just the basics on how to submit your site to Google News. That's the first step. Okay, because Google may have already created a Google News page for your site automatically. but this is what allows you to claim it, to set it up correctly, to put all the right information in there to improve the odds of it generating traffic. So you definitely want to do that. You want to use some type of a plugin for your SEO. On WordPress, we use all-in-one SEO, so all of our customers automatically have that. If you're not on our hometown but you're on WordPress, you definitely want some type of a plugin. It basically just formats the site in the most basic way that the bots need it. So it just takes care of all the essential stuff that they need to index your site. So that's going to help with general SEO as well as on Google News. This one here, adjusting the related stories block to retain readers, I thought this was a good point to make. This is a feature on all of our sites, available on all of our sites, but it needs to be activated, that basically increases the amount of activity on your site, decreases the bounce rate, and recommends articles for your readers. So when they get to the bottom of a story, it shows more from this category. So activating a feature like this is going to be good for your SEO and your Google News ranking, because your traffic is more engaged and Google sees that activity. Okay, so then using reverse publishing to update your site more frequently, that's another thing that we just know Google cares about. They're more, they're going to rank a site better if it updates a couple stories every day rather than updating 10 or 20 stories once a week. Okay, now it's obviously better to get your stories out there once a week than not at all. So, when we do that for full service PDF extraction, it's still excellent, because we're going to take a PDF and put it up as HTML stories. That's the number one thing. That should actually be another blog post here, just as a basic reminder that if you're still publishing, your articles as PDFs only, you're not going to be in Google News at all. There's no way that they can pick you up whatsoever. So you're kind of shooting yourself in the foot by doing that. But yeah, that should be another point. Just publishing frequently and publishing in HTML on the website are all going to be key to increasing your chances of ranking well. So that's article from last week, from last week's newsletter. What else here? I just want to point this out. I just tried this last night. I just put together a list of 6 articles. I'm not going to go through them right now, but just the latest stuff that I've been reading. I've seen a lot of these in other industry newsletters that I like a lot. Like Editor and Publisher has a great one, and newspapers, America's Newspapers. They both put out a ton of great content. I think Editor and Publisher has a daily newsletter that has 3 or 4 articles that I read in it at least. Some of the ones that I picked up are on the state of the industry. The New York Times continues to make headlines. They just hit a new record of 7 million subscribers as digital revenue rises and print continues to decrease. So they're setting new records all the time. At Gannett, they're posting revenue declines overall, but they've topped 1 million digital subscriptions in the 3rd quarter. Also some interesting things about audio opportunities, text-to-speech translation. This is not an article related to audio articles at all. It's just things that other industry players are talking about. Digital content next. That's where this article is from. So yeah, just some things that I found interesting. So check it out. It's on the blog, on the homepage. It's just kind of my weekly rundown of interesting stories. Okay, so 12:45. Okay, great. That's the news for the blog. Thank you. A bunch of really exciting things to talk about today. I've been working on this idea all weekend that I want to tell you about for helping publishers sell more subscriptions. I want to get to that very quickly, but the thing that's really on the schedule today that I wanted to make sure to announce is the audio articles free month. So for the entire month of November, if you sign up at any point, then you get 1 month of free articles from that point, free audio articles on your site. We've had a ton of publishers take us up on this already, and just check it out. For a sample, you can go to this blog post on our site. You can also go to the audio articles page, and let's go ahead and watch this video. It's been about a year, I think, since I made this. So let's go ahead and give it a watch just for an overview of the feature.
Audio articles are brought to you by our hometown web publishing. Ringing the new year with audio articles. A constantly changing world requires a constantly changing media platform and user interface. Today, news and media is consumed in ways that even just 10 years ago were unheard of. A major trend in all forms of media is the desire to take in content on the go. While mobile phones and tablets have made this possible, we're excited to build upon that principle with our newest feature, audio articles. With audio articles, every article posted on your website is converted into an audio stream that can be played back at the click of a button, allowing readers to consume their news in places they otherwise couldn't, at the gym, on the go, or when cooking dinner. Best of all, this functionality is built into your existing website. Readers won't have to download any software or third-party apps to use this feature. They just open a news article like they normally would and click the play button. Contact us at ops@ourhometown.com to try audio articles today.
All right, that's audio articles. So check out this page, ourhometown.com/audio-articles. Audio articles. It basically gives a summary of what was just said in the video. The whole transcript is pretty much right there. But then it just highlights the different benefits, the convenience of being able to listen rather than read. It's a huge benefit. There's accessibility issues that are dealt with here. It makes it widely accessible to any reader coming to the site. Very easy to absorb the news this way. There's a revenue opportunity tied to this. We can deliver reports on the performance through our Matimo stats program. And you can sign up for a free trial. We'll do the premium trial for you. And then if you want to continue beyond that first month, it's just $75 a month. And if you can, monetize this with an ad in that position, that should more than cover this. We have several advertisers or publishers doing that with their advertisers. Okay, so that's one feature I wanted to mention. It's on the schedule.